Today's conversations episode with Sasha Haco from Unitary AI is so exciting. It covers her sort of sliding doors moment when she decided to create her company as a co-founder. She gives fantastic tips on people where they are in the journey in terms of implementing AI. She also has great advice for young women as they sort of enter the career and what they need to do to be successful. So take a listen. It's a great episode. Sasha, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Great. So really looking forward to our discussion. I'm sure our listeners are. So let's get straight into it. So first of all, I think we should start. So can you give our listeners a sort of introduction into Unity AI, obviously, which you co-founded, what you do, what your speciality is, what your products are, and we can start from there.
Yeah, brilliant. So I'm, as you say, one of the co-founders and the CEO of a business called Unitary. I started the company about 7 years ago now, and we're an automation company. So we essentially figure out how to turn really manual processes into ones with maximum automation as fast as possible. And we have a product which we call virtual agents. So virtual agents essentially mimic human workloads. So they log into systems just like a human would. There's no like tech integration at all. They type in username and passwords and two-factor authenticate or whatever it is. And they actually mimic the whole process from end to end, using a combination of software and AI to basically get the whole job done with maximum sort of robustness, but also with like the power that you can achieve with AI. So they take on human workloads and they sort of automate them with actually guaranteed human level accuracy. And they do that super fast. So within sort of a few weeks, they're up and running, automating a submissions process or claims admin or whatever it might be.
And just the genesis of the idea. So 7 years ago, were you sitting on a train? Were you sort of lying on a beach? What was the thought provoking sliding doors moment or whatever?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We've had such a journey. So it's been like very lots of twists and turns, I guess. So before this, I was doing a PhD in studying black holes. So I totally different, was working on theoretical physics, trying to understand like the universe, I guess. And it was really interesting, really cool in some ways, but also like painfully unimpactful, I found. Like I could never see like tangible results from what I was doing. And I wanted to work on something where I could see impact, I guess, on like a daily basis. And so I felt like starting a startup was a really good way to do that. And I was really excited about AI and like the potential that AI was going to have. And this was 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So AI meant something totally different. But even then, AI was like an increasingly powerful tool being used in like lots of different industries. And I was really excited about that. And so I started thinking about AI. I met my co-founder, James, who had a background in AI. And actually, the first use case we became interested in was looking at how we can sort of automate the manual work involved in content moderation for online platforms. So if you can imagine, like on your dating app or whatever, someone reports another user. We're not using dating apps, but you know what I mean. There could be whatever it is. Game, PlayStation. Somebody reports another user for like harassment or whatever, and then that report goes to a queue that's reviewed by a person somewhere. So all of these social apps and marketplaces have teams and teams of people whose job it is to manually review and investigate reports. And so we thought, keeping the internet safe, that's a very, very kind of important cause. So let's try and first build automation to do this. And that kind of over a few years led to this product, which is virtual agent. So basically being able to, without any tech integration, mimic this human work. And we have a human in the loop. So it means they can actually do the work as well as a human, but automate it as much as possible. And so we started off, we were doing it in this content moderation world. We started working with platforms across like dating apps, social apps, marketplaces, gaming. It was going really well. And then what we recognized was actually this product that we built had much broader applicability. We were essentially taking on a manual process, and which looks different in every company, figuring out the different tools that they use and building a product that can automatically, navigate the different systems, even if they're like really legacy and horrible, and mimic the human workload. So we thought actually this has so much broader applicability, and the customers that kind of loved this the most were ones which had sort of their workloads were spread across lots of tools and systems, which meant that it was really hard to automate. Often they had legacy systems, and they just had like really like a lot of pressure on manual repetitive tasks. So we kind of looked around for other industries which had these characteristics, and one of them has been insurance. We've also been working with we sort of expanded across other parts of marketplaces and healthcare as well, but insurance through that became a real focus, because in the insurance industry, like as you know, there's so much manual work, there's so much automation to be done, but at the same time, I guess there's two interesting things about insurance. Like one is you have to get it right, and like the cost of an error is really high. And so that's why not just having like an AI agent that like can do any old thing felt really important. Like we need to be able to have a robust, like really robust sort of process behind it. So that sort of fitted our model really well. But also, there's a lot of legacy, and that's often stops people from being able to automate. So the fact that we could actually just start working in these like legacy systems and tools meant that we could actually add a lot of value really fast. So insurance sort of quickly became our biggest like growth area.
Interesting. What a great storyboard in terms of from start to finish. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That bit.
No sliding doors moment there, really.
So, moving into AI effectively,
Yeah.
and obviously, you was fully aware of it sort of 7, 8 years ago. Clearly now AI is the talk of the buzzword of insurance and other industries, to be fair.
Yeah.
So through your own experience, and obviously you deal with a number of sort of partners and clients in the insurance industry, and everybody in the sector probably is at different points of the evolution in AI. What would be your
Yeah.
advice to, customers or our listeners in particular who may be at the start of their journey or even maybe
Yeah.
actually being partway through their journey? And what are the key things to do and the key things to avoid?
Great question. So I guess if you're at the start of the journey, my main advice is to start small, pick off a piece and do it well, and then expand from there. But in terms of like, how should you grapple with AI? I think what I've learned is that AI sounds great, and people are so excited about AI. And there's every time I go to a conference, it's like, everyone's talking about AI. But I do think AI is not the right the job in every situation. And so I think people need to be careful about confusing automation with AI, because actually AI and AI agents and agentic stuff that everyone's talking about, these models are inherently probabilistic. They're basically making a guess, and a good guess usually, at like every step. Like, what should it do next? What's the next word in this sentence? And that's super powerful, and often is like 95% accurate. But the problem in lots of these like insurance workflows, they often have like 20 steps. Like uh, open up this attachment, find where the right part of the attachment is this other thing, put this into some policy admin system or whatever it is. And there are like 20 steps. And so if it's the AI is 95% accurate at every step, then these kind of, even as just the error is 5%, they compound. So then after you've done a 20-step process, the error's like, I don't know, less than 40%. Sorry, the accuracy is less than 40%. And so most businesses wouldn't tolerate 40% accurate uh, like process, which means that AI isn't the right solution the whole way. So you need to find a way to leverage the power of AI without like falling into this trap. And actually, we're hearing so much in the news about how most AI pilots are failing. Like most AI pilots never make it into production, um, even though everyone's so excited about AI. And why is this? And I think it's because of this problem. Like you can test something on one step and it works great, but when you try and put it into this whole workflow chain, suddenly it doesn't work anymore. And so I think the trick is to actually only use AI when you need it, and make sure that for all other steps, you might want to automate, but with software. So you have sort of traditional software, or so traditional, but like you need software that can do the deterministic steps. So anything which is not a human reasoning based decision is done by software. And then you have AI for the bits that require like human judgment. And then I think the third important piece, what we have in our product, is having a human in the loop, so that you have a combination of software, AI, and humans, which allow you to maximize the power of AI while also maintaining the sort of robustness, reliability, and like repeatability that you need from software.
And are you a supporter of the view, speaking to a number of our members around at different parts of the journey, that, you know, before they should cut any real checks, that there are some free sort of tools which you can sort of experiment with, and you obviously sort of, your first advice is that, start small on that piece. So don't necessarily feel that you have to invest heavily at the start. Look at what's currently available, maybe off the shelf, just to get a sort of feel. Is that something you subscribe to and you would support?
Definitely, definitely. I think I'm a big believer in no big bang projects.
Right.
Like, nothing that takes a long time to do, you should see results really fast. And if you can't see results in a month, then, especially if you're paying, you should only pay for ROI. You should make sure that you get some real return within the first month, I think, or two. It shouldn't be, a year out. And even companies we speak to who are on these big transformation journeys where they're like putting everything into a whole new system can still get quick wins. You can still actually implement something today within a few weeks that allows you to start automating some parts of the process, which then you might migrate onto the new system when it's ready. So I think definitely start small and try out things. There are like tools out there that are, specific AI models for specific things, calculating a risk about something, that people can play around with. But I think it's possible to start automating like simple workflows, just really quickly and in a way that demonstrates value, and then you can expand from there.
So, Sasha, picking up on sort of, the journey, sort of 7 years, and identifying insurance as a real sector which needs sort of transformation and automation. And I'm smiling because I'm mentioning bordereau, but we know that we'll come on to that. So can I ask you, do you see any particular processes either being in claims, operations, or underwriting, which are particularly ripe for sort of AI and AI agents, or do you feel that they're all on the same sort of level? What's your sense?
I think there's so much opportunity. I think there really is so many things to do. Um, Underwriting has a lot of operational admin. So, like, underwriting assistants spend so much of their time taking information out of emails and putting it into like internal systems, and that's a very laborious process. That is basically just rekeying information, looking something up on the internet, maybe, but it's not high leverage work. So for me, anywhere in the business which is full of people doing like low leverage activities where they should be spending their time on more important things, that's the place to automate. So underwriting, definitely. Claims have a lot of admin, definitely. You mentioned bordereau, that's like, the big horrible one that everyone talks about, but there's so much you can do there. But to be honest, everywhere in the business we often start doing a POC in one underwriting part of underwriting operations, and then that expands. Then we end up working with different teams in the business, all sorts of like customer care stuff, back office. So there tends to be just like manual process absolutely everywhere. So I think it's an exciting time, to be honest, to be an insurance company if you're like open to adopting the like latest technology and getting on it, because you can start accelerating and doing much more with less. I think that's what AI enables people to do, or just automation. It means you can suddenly scale in a way without growing headcount. Like what we're seeing is we're for a business we're working with in the US and MGA, we've taken on parts of their loss run processes. But actually what we saw is not only can we turn things around much faster and it's much cheaper and everything, but they've also had a big boost in their like broker satisfaction. So they sort of measuring it and it got a lot better. So that's also almost revenue generating as well. So you have all these, there are the obvious benefits like cost savings and faster sort of speeds, getting things done faster, but you also have all these extra benefits as well. And I think that's going to be really compounding. And the businesses that really embrace automation and change in AI are going to just be able to scale in a way they've never seen before, and without having to scale their headcount, which is really exciting.
Yeah, well, that was certainly, as you say, sort of revenue generation and broker satisfaction, and that just shows in terms of how powerful sort of those tools can be in terms of your the evolve and sort of profitability of all businesses. So that's great metrics actually to be able to sort of play back. So it's good. I want to sort of just shift the topic a little bit, if I may. Now, obviously, sort of you're a successful woman. You've got co-founding with your sort of co-founder in terms of Unity. Obviously, on great momentum. I'd really like to sort of share with our listeners in terms of your view about how women can be successful in the insurance industry, but obviously in the industry where you've come up in that tech sort of space and from that bit, and can you sort of give some of your own experiences and sort of any sort of advice to our sort of younger listeners who are no doubt admiring what you're talking about today in terms of what they could replicate in terms of it, carving out a very successful career for themselves in what is still, to be honest and recognise, still can be quite challenging for females, certainly in the insurance sector.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I've spent my life in like male dominated industries, and like being a tech person is, it's still predominantly men. But actually the most male dominated industry I've been in is black holes. Um so when I was working as like, doing physics stuff, that was when there was I was often the only woman in the room. And so I actually notice it less now than I did before, which is funny. But and so I really I don't notice it as much. Um, I think though it's just about having uh, confidence and backing yourself. Like people always say that when they put job ads out, women make sure they like tick every single criteria before they apply, whereas like men. This is obviously massive generalization, just like stereotyping, but men are like, oh, I just tick one of the boxes. I'm going to apply for this job, and so I think it's that mindset. It's like, well, it could be good enough, so let's go for it. Um, and just having more of like good enough mentality, I think is what women need to just put themselves out there a bit more. So I think that's my advice is just go
And
for it.
and I just before we move on, are you encouraged in the direction of travel, or in terms of sort of, women given opportunities to be successful in the industries in terms of which you engage with? Are you encouraged that it is going in the right direction, or do you feel we've reached a sort of plateau and perhaps there's more work to be done?
There's always more work to be done for sure. I mean, it's not just women, but there's so many like minority groups that just that are being left behind. So there's always more work to be done, but I definitely am encouraged. There's like more and more, and I go to events or meetings, I'm seeing more and more women. So the direction of travel is definitely positive.
That's good. That's good to hear. Oh, I just want to touch on very, very broadly, regulation actually, and at a very high sort of level. And really what prompted this sort of question, and it's more to sort of get your view, not around the regulatory environment, but, where you may see challenges with the use of AI, from effectively customer detriment or whatever. So obviously the FCA announced a couple of weeks ago they were going to do this AI sort of review, which is quite right because AI can be used for pricing, for risk appetite and whatever. So there's obviously challenges. So if I put to one side the regulatory and whatever the FCA do, and actually just ask for your to share your expertise in terms of AI tools and how that works, does it give you any concern that they could be used in the wrong way to disadvantage customers and whatever, and any sort of particular examples, or where you feel the guardrails need to be to ensure that we don't become a wild west show with AI tools? What's be interested in your view.
Yeah, I think we need to use AI with caution. Um, so we need to use AI in the right places. And there's some tasks which is just no brainer for AI, but there are other tasks where AI can be super powerful, but where the results are so influenced by like what they've been trained on. So like risk and that sort of thing, modeling specific sort of like these sort of point solutions, um, are likely to pick up biases from everything they've learnt. So I think there's definitely we definitely need to be cautious, and I think there needs to be a large element of human in the loop and human oversight before we let these things just do their thing. Um, so that's my advice, I guess. That I'm we're an AI company and use AI every single day, but I think AI is not the right tool always for the job. And so it's like, when should you use AI? When should you really have software or a person doing something? And there's definitely a place for people. We're not going to replace them, and I think that's really important to remember.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. So in a way, if I played back from a regulatory perspective, is that AI can enhance the customer experience and outcomes, but it has a role to play and not basically replaces everything in terms of that sort of process or whatever, because of the reasons
Exactly,
you just said, because it can then become all consuming, and then there could be detriment.
exactly right.
Okay, so look, fantastic to sort of have this conversation. A great journey from sort of 7 years ago. I suppose hopefully we're going to have this conversation again in 12 months' time. So, if and when we do have that conversation, sort of where are we now? February 2026, so 12 months, which unfortunately comes around very, very quickly now in time. Well, what would you hope to be sharing sort of with me and our listeners in terms of, let's say two things. One, AI in general, and just as importantly, in terms of Unity, in terms of what you'd hope to achieve in the next 12 months.
So in terms of AI in general, I think the capabilities are getting like more and more powerful every day, and that means that like magic seeming applications are becoming possible. So I think it's going to get. I guess this is the same as for Unitary and for the world. It's going to make things that are really hard today easy. Um, so working with like really hard systems or automating things that just feel impossible are going to become possible. Already, when I sometimes do demos to people, they're like, "This is it. This surely isn't real." And I think we're going to get that in a whole new way in the next year. So I think that's really exciting. I think also, like from a Unitary point of view, we use AI in our business every day. Like people use now, you can use AI to code for you, and so suddenly we're able to just do so much more. Our best engineers are people who aren't coding all day, but they're using AI to write their code, and just getting so much more done. And we're going to see that like productivity gain happen again. But then also for us as a business, I think we've got a really exciting year ahead. Like we're now firmly in the sort of UK London market, and we're just starting out in the US. I'm hoping that's going to grow a lot in the next year too.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, well, look, really thank you very much for your time. Extremely insightful.
Thank you.
Certainly debunked some of the myths. Really, really pleased about how consistent you were that in terms of AI is not replacing humans; it's complementary to what humans do, which is fantastic. And again, thanks very much for your time and for sharing all things AI and particularly Unity. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much for listening. The MGAO welcomes all feedback on all our episodes, so please get in touch. Please get in touch with any suggestions on topics or new guests. And don't forget to subscribe on your chosen platform so you don't miss out on any of our future exciting episodes.